Hi, my name is Jewel Baldwin. I'm a transformational coach and educator, and I work in the arena of the man-woman relationship dynamic. My clients are women, men, and couples who are ready to have a much deeper understanding of the nature of the man-woman relationship dynamic and how to play and win with it. So today, I'm going to be talking about the subject of jealousy, which Webster defines as the green-eyed monster. And I know for pretty much all of us, myself included, we have had moments of experiencing jealousy that have really been painful and challenging for us. In fact, Webster describes jealousy as a painful apprehension of rivalry in cases directly affecting one's happiness. That's a serious thing. In addition, Webster says that jealousy is a painful suspicion of faithfulness, of the faithfulness of one's husband, partner, or spouse. So both of these definitions lead with the word pain. And when you think about the word jealousy itself, jealousy is really, the truth is that it can be a very lousy experience of life and of yourself in relation to someone you care about. And I do notice in many of my coaching programs, working particularly with couples, how much this issue arises and how much people really don't have the tools they need to responsibly deal with jealousy and make peace with it at the same time. So let's get started. The first thing I want to ask you is, gosh, what is present for you when jealousy is arising? And I'm going to look for myself as I'm asking you that question. I know for me, if I'm having a really intense experience of feeling jealous in relationship to my partner, it's a combination of things. On the emotional level, it's usually some combination of anger, like what the hell is he doing? Fear, oh my God, what is he doing? And sometimes just plain numbness. I'm just checked out. I don't want to feel anything because those feelings are too painful. So on the emotional level, it's usually anger, fear, or numbness. For me, on the body level, and I think this is probably true for most of us, it's kind of anxiety energy. Often we're sweating, we feel distracted, we're not present, we feel tense, and we can feel contraction, like pulling back, withdrawing. Not fun. And even my mind, I notice, will go into random thoughts like, does he like her better than me? Is he planning to leave me? Is she going to run off with him? What's going on? What's wrong with me? All of these things, which are really hard on the body and hard on the nervous system, and really take us out of our ability to be in present time and in our hearts and in a loving place. So I think we can all agree, most of us have shared some combination of these experiences when jealousy arises. So I want to take a minute, though, and just invite you to consider that jealousy arising in your heart, in your life, is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's possible to consider that jealousy could be positive and useful to you, and even a chance to deepen and enhance your relationship. Now, I know as I'm saying this, some of you might be thinking, I don't think that's possible. That's never happened to me, and I can't imagine that it would happen anytime soon. But I'm going to give you some points to consider regarding jealousy for you to try on, so that the next time it arises, you might have some new ways to approach the feeling of jealousy that could actually give you more peace. So, the first positive thing I want to say is that jealousy is completely natural to us. It's a natural experience in who we are as human beings. It does not mean if you feel jealous that you're not enlightened, you're not a good person, or that you don't have life handled. Jealousy arises, and the reason that it arises is because we care so much about somebody. We care, we're invested, we love them. And, if we didn't care so much, we would feel neutral. We would feel indifferent. We wouldn't really have an investment that would cause those feelings to arise. So when that's coming up, it's like, wow, it's a reminder that you really care about the person you're with. And that is not a bad thing. Sometimes we get a little sleepy on that subject, so it can be a useful reminder. How do we work with this when jealousy does come up? What do we do? What's jealousy all about anyway? What is really going on? So I want to take a minute to let you look at an equation for jealousy that I've learned over the years. And what that is that jealousy is basically composed of two experiences. Two distinct experiences are occurring when jealousy is arising, when that green-eyed monster feels like it's taken over your life. So those two experiences are the following. The first experience is excitement or turn on. You're excited, you're sweating, you're nervous, you might even be feeling a little nauseous. Oh my goodness, nervous energy is arising at a fast clip. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just good to notice. So that's one aspect of jealousy. The other aspect of jealousy is an experience of being excluded or left out. Okay? So this is the part that we don't like. The exclusion and the feeling of being left out, removed from the equation or not considered, is the negative aspect of jealousy. But if you'll look at this equation, what you will notice, and I will grab this pen for a minute, is that when we can handle or take care of the experience of being excluded or left out, so when we can resolve this, what we are left with is excitement and turn on. And that's not a bad thing to have more of in life, right? So it's as hard as it can be when we can learn, and when I have learned over the years, time and time again, I've had many good tests when I have really dropped in and I have found out what it takes to feel included in the relationship situation when it's arising. Then it often, almost every time that I can remember, will lead to more turn on and actually more closeness with my partner, which is usually my goal. So this is the way that we can, if we learn to maneuver the terrain of jealousy from a more positive and empowering place, what it can do is create a deeper foundation for love, nurturing, and a feeling of being more thoroughly taken care of in our relationship than we had before. So when we talk about what would it take to eliminate this feeling of being left out or excluded, what are we talking about? What does that look like? So I'm going to give you an example of a situation that probably many of us have experienced at one time or another. So say we're at a party and all of a sudden you notice that your partner or spouse or mate or really good friend is, over across the room. And they're really having a deep conversation with someone that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. And they're really into it, and they're really engaged, and they're really kind of dialed in, and the energy's running. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, you're noticing this, and it doesn't feel good. You are, all the things that I said, I'm afraid now, I'm angry at him, my body's sweating, I'm feeling contracted, thoughts are running through my head. What does this mean? What's wrong with me? Why is this happening? There's a feeling of loss of control. And so the typical response, for a lot of us is to just kind of non-confront it, to move away from it, to pretend as if it's not happening. So, what we can do is go get another drink. We can leave the scene. We can go energetically try to distract ourselves with somebody else. But all of these are reactions to a condition that can be actually transformed and take the relationship to a higher state. And that's the goal that we're looking for in this equation. So how would you go about including yourself? You notice this is happening, you're really feeling uncomfortable, you want to leave, you want to check out, you want to numb out. What do you do? Okay, so I'm going to give you a few suggestions and things that have worked for me and things that seem to work a lot for my clients when I'm coaching them through programs that are intended to transform some of these gnarly knots in our lives. So the first thing to do, not too hard, number one is to acknowledge that you're feeling jealous. Whew, I am feeling jealous. I've got the energy in my body, these sensations, my mind is running. Wow, I am actually feeling jealousy. I'm feeling a combination of excitement, ooh, I'm revved up, and exclusion, painful, okay? So number one, to acknowledge that you're feeling jealous is the first step. The second step, if you can do it, is to ask your partner to include you in some way in the conversation. So that could look two ways. Number one, you could walk over and literally join the conversation, put your arm around them, hey, I'm here, which is a signal as a request to be invited in. So that's number one, which is easy for some people, not less easy for others. Another option is to wait till the conversation is complete, and meanwhile just be trying to calm your body down, breathe, try to let those sensations move through you rather than be stuck in your body, to just deliberately let them move through you. And then when you have a moment with your partner, say, honey, I just want you to know I was feeling really jealous when I noticed you talking to so-and-so for the last 20 minutes or whatever it is. Can you include me? What's up? What's happening? What's going on? And as much as you can approach that conversation with your partner, not from anger, not from fear, and not from all that charge, but just like, wow, I really care about you. I got into some fear that maybe you were moving away from me, and I just want to feel more included. So that is a fabulous way, and if your partner loves you, they are going to be usually more than grateful to say, yeah, oh my gosh, for sure, and do you want to, let's go over and talk to her together, or him together, or whoever it is, so that there's a feeling of inclusion happening right in that moment. And that is a huge transformation right there. So, and it's good to notice as you ask for the opportunity to be included, and you're allowing that conversation to come to you, and you're integrating it, and you're listening, notice if your body's starting to calm down. Notice if you're breathing better. Notice if you're feeling closer or farther away from your partner. My guess is, in pretty much every instance, you're going to be feeling closer to the person that you love because they're taking the time to loop you in, and you're being reassured that this is not a disastrous event that's happening. So, I think reassurance is something that we can all use more of. As even if those of us who have been in a relationship with the same person for 25 years, we still need to be reminded that we are loved and that we matter and that we care. So I think in many ways jealousy can be an opportunity to amplify that in your relationship, because sometimes we get a little asleep at the wheel, we forget, we assume they know that we love them and we care, but all of a sudden this trigger's coming up, and it can be a reminder that you're wanting some more reassurance and that they can provide that for you, and that's a really lovely thing. So the other thing I wanted to mention is consider the possibility in the moment when this energy is arising that your partner, mate, or dear one is not actually trying to cause you pain. We flip very quickly, like without even a second, we can flip into thinking that they're doing something harmful to us. They're trying to cause us pain. They're trying to, be mean. And really, honestly, most of the time, they're just having an interesting conversation with somebody, and we're just interpreting it as something that would be causing possibly separation, and that it's somehow deliberate. But in my experience, that's rarely the case, that it's usually just they're having a good time. They're with you at the party. From their point of view, everything's cool. It's just that we can easily interpret some of these signals as something painful or something to move away from. So consider the possibility that they're not trying to cause you pain, that this is an opportunity to practice calming your mind and body, breathing deeply, noticing that there's something, that what is arising is good, not bad, and being able to make a more conscious choice about that, and that by your acknowledging your experience of jealousy, it's actually a compliment to your partner. It says to them, boy, honey, I love you so much. You are so important to me that I am feeling this energy, this jealousy, this separation. I'm feeling jealous. And they can say, wow, I wasn't aware of that. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't want to cause you pain, but I'm glad that you noticed. I'm really glad that you're noticing and you're paying enough attention to me to notice that, enough that this jealousy is actually arising for you. So the other thing I would say, just to wrap this up, is as much as particularly for committed couples, as much as you can, be proactive about jealousy, knowing that it will arise because we're all human. I really encourage the people that I work with in my coaching programs to actively talk to people, talk to each other, to have agreements. How are we going to deal with jealousy if it is showing up at this event, at this party, at this meeting? And a lot of times we'll set up situations where we might have some kind of nonverbal cue to let the person know, uh-oh, I'm feeling separate, I'm feeling left out, we need to course correct. And it might be like pulling your ear or tapping your head or some signal that allows your partner to know that this is arising so that you can intervene before it gets way out of hand and you end up feeling extraordinarily separate through the whole party, going home and having a big fight. So that's what we're trying to intervene in here because it is not necessary. The other thing I would say is don't withhold information about the encounter that you're having that's causing your mate jealousy, okay? So one of the things that people will try to do is they'll be afraid that their partner is going to have a strong negative reaction if they share, like, wow, I was really having this interesting conversation and this person's cool and what have you. They're afraid if they actually elaborate and just be honest and tell the truth that it's going to push the other person away. What's really true in my experience is that is exactly the opposite of what works, okay? So in my experience, what works is to state very fully and entirely your experience. Because what happens is if you withhold something that's important, or the person has because we're all pretty psychic and we can feel each other quite a bit about that. If you have a suspicion that the person's withholding something important, it will actually generate more fear. Oh my gosh, what is he not telling me? Well, he said that, but what is he really not saying? And the absence of the full inclusion can actually generate more of that suspicion and separation. So err on the side of sharing everything because it's a generous thing to do, and who doesn't appreciate honest communication, right? And this is what will build that deeper foundation in your relationship that you will grow to appreciate and count on. So reassurance, full communication, full disclosure, having agreements and a dialogue on the front end about how you're going to handle situations in public, parties and what have you, so that these jealous situations can be intervened in more quickly. And just remembering that jealousy is a sign that you care, and that is super important, and will take the jealousy factor from something painful and monstrous to something that you can have fun with together, work with together, and even possibly enjoy. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I know this is a big topic, and I'm doing a little quick vignette here just to give you the flavor of the kind of work that I do. In much more long-term, deeper coaching programs where we deal with everything from communication tools that will transform your life to completing things from the past that may be hanging on you and getting in the way of a full, open-hearted relationship with your spouse or partner. All the issues related to understanding the other gender, because we are so different. And until we can understand and embrace those differences, we're kind of swimming in rough waters. And we're at a time on the planet now where I think we need to be able to bridge those gaps more elegantly, more gracefully, and in a way that generates more pleasure and fun, because that's why we get in these relationships in the first place. So I just want to say that I encourage you to take a minute to review my website and all the programs and offerings that are available there. And please call me. I always like to offer a complimentary introductory conversation with all of my clients before we choose to work together, to make sure that it's a fit, to make sure that working with me is truly right for you. So please visit my website, www.pleasureonpurpose.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for taking a minute to listen to this powerful and important conversation about jealousy, and I really hope it makes a difference in your life. Thanks, and take care.